because there's nothing more frustrating than to go to God with everything you have and nothing works. Yolanda, welcome back to my channel. And on this channel, I give you weekly tips and tools about getting and staying productive, building your faith, and serious talks about mental health. So I'm going to give you 5 ways to apply the prayer prompts that I gave you in the last video. And the first prayer prompt that I gave you was being thankful, being in thanksgiving when we go into prayer to God, and how to apply that and get answers to it. You may be wondering, like, why would I need to get answers to being in thanksgiving? Why would I need answers about being thankful to God? Because of course we are thankful about life. We're thankful about our jobs. We're thankful and grateful about our family. But when we think about being in thanksgiving to God and being thankful to God and get our prayers answered, we want to think about it in the aspect of, are you truly thankful for what you actually have right now? Because in order for God to move us to the next level with thanksgiving and to get our prayers answered, we have to truly be thankful for what we currently have. Now, this means that you're going to have to examine yourself. You're going to have to really seek God and really search within your heart, because sometimes what comes out of our mouth does not align with what's in our heart. So in order to get thanksgiving applied and get the prayers answered when you're asking God for whatever it is you may be seeking or requesting at that time, you first have to truly be thankful for what it is you have before God can bless you with the next best thing. So in order to apply thanksgiving, in order to be grateful and really be thankful for what you have, it's going to require us to do some work. Now, when I went through this and did some prayer and searching about what it is that I was really thankful for, I had a lot of work to do on myself. So in order for God to answer your prayers, it first begins with you being thankful for what you already have. Because how can you get the next best thing if you're not taking care of what you already have? So that leads us into number 2. The second way that we can get God to answer our prayers and apply confidence and assurance, we first have to go out and walk by faith. This is how we're going to get God to move on our behalf of confidence and assurance of whatever it is that you requested and asked God for. You have to first walk into, act on what you just asked for, because that is the confidence that you're having. Remember, we're asking God for His confidence. We're asking God for His assurance. So if we're believing God that He's going to give us the confidence and assurance to get that thing we requested, we have to walk in it. We have to believe and know with confidence, with faith. That's the key. With faith that He is going to do what we ask Him to do in confidence and assurance. So you have to walk in it. You have to act on what you ask God for confidence and assurance in. Prayer prompt number 3 that I gave you, how to apply for your purpose. Now, this is very important because when we think about our purpose in life, a lot of us right now aren't doing what we were brought on this earth to do, what we were created to do. For the longest time, I was just going in circles. I was like a dog chasing its tail. At the time, I felt like I had to do it. So what I did was, and what I want you to do in order to apply and get the prayer answer of what is your purpose in this life, you need to create a list of all the things you love. It doesn't matter if it looks like a hobby or it's not going to bring you financial gain. You need to write it down, categorize it into 3 categories of what you love, what comes natural, and what you're just doing just to get by. And what you'll find is what you're doing to get by has nothing to do with what you love and what comes natural. Just going with the flow, not necessarily making an imprint on anything. We're just doing it because we feel like this is what I have to do to survive. But in order for us to get to the purpose, to get to the root of what God created us for, you're going to have to categorize. You're going to have to make a list, because if you see it every day, you'll end up doing it every day, because our actions and our words are two different things. You might say, yes, I want to pursue this. Yes, I want to be an entrepreneur, or I want to be a writer, or whatever. But if you're not putting pen to paper and putting a focus on what it is you truly want, it will cause you to be just, you're going through the motions of things. Get the answers to your prayers, you're going to have to do some work. Now, what you love and what comes natural, I will tell you, in those two categories, you're going to find your purpose. I promise you. Because for me, for example, for the longest time, I wanted to be a writer. This is something that I love to do. This is something that comes natural to me. And I also love speaking. Speaking comes natural to me. So this was something that I really had to go to God with. And it was until the moment that I asked and He provided the answer. What it was that I was meant to do was right there in front of me. I just had to really do a self-assessment on myself, examine myself, truly dig deep into who I really was, what I really wanted, and what I was trying to really get. Because if you don't have clarity on those three things, you're not going to find your purpose in life. So that leads us to our number 4, deliverance. When you're asking God for deliverance and get the prayer answer for deliverance, you are going to have to do some work. And this is what you'll hear me say throughout this video. You have to do the work. God is going to be there for us. God never leaves us. He never forsakes us. But we are required to do the work. So when you're asking God for prayers of deliverance, in order for you to apply being delivered, you're going to have to do work. So that means if you go to God and you're asking Him to deliver you from anger, this was a big one for me. You are going to have to really dig deep and do the work. For an example, I remember it wasn't until the moment that I accepted, I believed that I was completely delivered from anger, is when that prayer was answered. I'll give you an example. I was at a job, and this coworker at my job was just very difficult. There were things that I was trying to convey to this person and just have a simple conversation, and it was just not happening, you guys. And I was beginning to get angry. But in the moment that I realized that, hey, wait a minute, you're going to have to do a self-assessment. And know that this is something that you ask God to deliver you from. So in order for you to be truly delivered, you are going to have to do work and act on that deliverance or that request that you ask God to deliver you from. So for me, in my case, what I did was, it got to the point I was so frustrated. I remember sitting at my desk. I was just so irritated. And I remember it was the sudden peace that came over me. And I was asking God, please quiet the noise. Allow me to get through this moment. And it was in that moment, it was like the Holy Spirit came in. I got up from my desk and I just walked away, and I went outside and I just completely went into prayer and just started thanking God for the deliverance. I started thanking God for moving me past who I was and getting me to be in the moment of who I truly am, who He truly called me to be. And it wasn't until that moment that my prayers were answered and I was delivered from anger. And I never let that bother me again. So it is possible to be delivered from everything that you're asking God for, but you must believe it. You must walk in it. You must receive it. You must trust God. Trust yourself. Be honest with yourself. And that leads us to number 5, you guys. Number 5 is being in God's presence. In the last video, we talked about asking God to be in his presence. And in order for us to really truly get those prayers answered of being in God's presence, you might wonder, well, how is this possible if you never prayed before? Is it possible if you are a Christian and you have prayed and you probably haven't experienced it yet? But let me tell you, being in God's presence is the most powerful, loving, unconditional feeling that is truly undescribable. And in order for us to apply it, in order for us to get God to allow us to be in his presence, we have to, once again, do the work. And that work requires prayer. That work requires being diligent in the word. So you're completely surrendering to God. And that will allow you to apply and get your prayer answered to be in his presence. So you're going to have to surrender yourself. I mean your whole self, your mind, your thoughts, your heart. You know, my pastor always tells us that the heart is the workshop of God. So you're really going to have to surrender your prayers answered, because there's nothing more frustrating than to go to God with everything you have and nothing works. But in order for something to work, you have to work it. You have to work the word, because the answers to all our prayers are already answered. So thank you guys. I love you guys. I'll see you in the next video. Bye guys.